guess the Ken Masters voice actor was recast over politics. It's been some time since we learned Ken Masters voice actor is being recasted. 3 years ago, articles from Newsweek and other commentary on Langdon's personal beliefs were taken out of context, which Langdon has now confirmed led to him being dropped as the voice. Rubin previously appeared on a podcast with YouTubers where they discussed a number of hot issues, including Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and allegations towards another voice actor, Vic Magnolia. Langdon was later asked for an interview by Newsweek to clarify his statements, to which he agreed, but when he said he couldn't comment on Mignogna's situation, an article later came out that lambasted Langdon as a right wing. Well, what did he say? All right, let's see. 2015, 2016, posted on the Cayman TV YouTube channel where the actor would post videos openly mocking transgender people, wearing blackface and other controversial content. In one video, he plays Cray Master J, an over-exaggerated black stereotype that wears a blackface mask and openly says the N-word, though it is bleeped out. Yeah, this was a little bit more serious than I thought. I thought maybe he's just like, oh, I voted for Trump or something, you know. But, yeah, this is definitely a fireable offense. You can't be racist, especially when the fact that other races exist. Could you imagine how toxic to a work environment this would be? If you had, obviously there's, you know, black people that work for Capcom, and they don't have to work with a guy that is causing waves, you know? I don't think that a company should fire somebody based off of beliefs or politics, but this isn't his politics. This is his prejudice, and that's a big difference. So he definitely should have been fired for this. This is not okay to do. He's later asked for an interview. He didn't do it. Newsweek put a piece out on him, basically exposing him for his racism, which really isn't a hit piece. It's, you know, hit pieces are kind of mountain out of molehill type situations. They're meant specifically to paint somebody in a specific light. This guy's own actions painted him in a light, which got him fired. He then noted that 2 months earlier, Newsweek did a very positive article and interview with him and his coverage of the possibility of ET life. Yeah, that was before they found out that you were kind of being a douche. People went to contact Capcom regarding the negative and out-of-context reporting that was done on Langdon, which allegedly prompted the developer to recast Ken Masters. So, out of context. I'd have to see the video. Some people wrote Capcom, particularly Ono-san. Langdon said he saw it and guessed he lost his shit. He didn't understand the nuances and didn't bother to reach out. What the hell's going on? He got super scared and actually called. I remember this very clearly because he was a few days before E3 started. My partner calls me and he goes, Ruben, what the fuck did you do? And I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. You didn't realize how much damage you've done? You just lost us the Street Fighter gig, he said. Because of that Newsweek article, we, the company Just Cause Productions, that I was no longer a part of, actually lost a multi-million-dollar gig because Ono, in a sense, thought that it was still part of the company, which I wasn't. Didn't do any research and any homework, didn't look into it or even bother. Yeah, see, this is the point of reason why people fire people, is because your past interactions can lead to you having damages. And that's what happened here. They lost a multi-million-dollar gig because somebody even just thought that they worked for somebody. So this is the reason why you can't, first of all, you can't be racist. You're just a douchebag. But when you work for somebody, everybody around you is connected to you by reputation, whatever. The company you keep type of thing. And if you look bad, then you will make everybody else around you look bad. You have to hold yourself responsible because everybody else, whether good or bad, will be held responsible for knowing you. So you should not act like an asshole. Even with just jokes, like you are still responsible, because you never, like, you can say it, but you can't control how people are going to respond. That's the rules. And sometimes people respond with canceling your multi-million-dollar gig for ex-friends. Because of that Newsweek article, company just... Yep. Despite the decision to recast Langdon and drop their mocap company already being made, Langdon and others reportedly tried to arrange a meeting with Ono to clarify and hopefully remedy the situation. And tried to arrange a meeting. See, Langdon should distance himself. It shouldn't be him trying to arrange a meeting. Any connection to this guy is basically plutonium. Just Cause Productions should have reached out, and if they needed more clarification, then Ono could then reach out to Langdon. But going together probably was a bad move. Yeah, so because it says right here, but Ono saying wouldn't have it. He wouldn't even take a meeting. It was crazy, Langdon said. Yeah, because he can't be seen to be conversing with you. It's already too hot of a situation. Just like your friend lost his gig, Ono is not the leader of a company. He's not the top dude. He's beholden to his bosses. So he's not going to meet with the racist. He's going to distance himself. Langdon went on to confirm that despite being recast, not racist, in Street Fighter, he's still playing Dante in Capcom's other hit franchises. That's a little weird. So it must have been a very local thing with Ono instead of Capcom itself. A few months after that, Itsuno calls up and says, "Hey, Ruben, can you come back to Japan and do a mocap? We're going to do a special edition of Devil May Cry." So I went back and asked Itsuno-san and my partner too, "What's the deal? How come you guys don't bring it up, dude?" And they were like, "Yeah, we just looked into it and it's fine." Yeah, oftentimes reactions are meant to be ass covering. Most people don't actually give a shit. Like, people aren't going to care if you're mean to other people. They don't actually care. They don't. It's just to cover their asses. Like, you made them look bad. We're in contact with you. Most people don't give a shit. They just have to respond in a punishing way to signal that, basically virtue signal, we aren't with this. We don't support this. And that's usually the big damage that happens. And then a week later, nobody cares. Nobody remembers. A lot of the times, if you, like with the Dave Chappelle, when he was joking about the trans people, he made way too much money for Netflix. And so Netflix decided to support having him on their platform and didn't give in. And, it passed over. Nobody, a week or two later, nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. And Dave Chappelle's still on Netflix, and they still make millions of dollars. People still come to them. Nobody canceled their memberships. Nobody did anything. Most of the time, if you just don't respond and keep marching on, most of the time you'll be fine. Very rarely, but the problem is that everybody gives in. Everybody, because they're so worried about stock prices or any of that stuff, because it looks bad on the higher ups. So they will cut and run at the hint of anything. And a lot of that is from big investors, big hedge funds and stuff like that, mandating these inclusion and diversity things, which at their face is not bad. Including people is good, but there's a political slant to it that kind of disrupts, and kind of it's safe to exclude some people but not other people, and it's usually goes along the lines of like minorities are, there's like a hierarchy of people that can be shit on, and if you just steer away from the the victim class, you'll be fine. And if you can discriminate against white people, it's actually virtuous to do it. A lot of people brag about not having white people on their team, not having men. And the problem with that is that it might send a huge green flag to investors, like, oh yeah, their numbers for their diversity and inclusion, their rating really high. But to people that actually buy their product, the majority of people that spend on a lot of these companies are men. And the majority of people in America are white. So you end up being stuck between a rock and a hard place. But the one thing that people don't really realize is, like, diversity and inclusion doesn't mean that you have to have an enemy. White people don't have to be the big bad in your equation, because people are individuals. We're not our demographics. We're not the on paper type people. We are real people. You shouldn't, just like it was bad to be racist towards black people, it's bad to be prejudiced against anybody, any group of people. It's stupid. You shouldn't dislike somebody based on their demographics. You should dislike people based on their personalities, based on the individual. So the Democrat team looked into it and saw that a bunch of bullshit it was, Langdon said, including Itsuno. Well, I'm curious, because if he did have blackface, which is a big red line, people don't like it. Culturally it is considered in America to be super, super racist. Yeah, and you can't do that. So it might not be a bunch of bullshit. Sounds like it wasn't too much of bullshit. It sounds like he's being offensive, saying offensive jokes, which doesn't really, you don't step over the line. As long as he's not actually attacking people, then just being a douchebag saying jokes, I don't think should be a fireable offense, but the optics look bad, and that's enough to fire somebody. They did the research and totally validated that I didn't say anything to offend anybody, or I wasn't whatever Newsweek tried to make me out as. All the lies, so it was fine. Yeah, what happens a lot, like I was saying earlier when we were talking about the Alyssa Mercante lady, is that the political line of a lot of journalists doesn't really match up with reality. There's most of the time there's no big bad. There's not much going on, and because journalism has turned into sensationalism, you can't really sell ads unless you get people mad and furious to click and to engage, because people respond when they're mad more than they do when they're happy. So all of journalism has turned into this gossip column of this guy's racist, that guy's misogynist, this guy's this. He, if you disagree with them, it's because you're sexist. If you didn't buy the game, it's because of racism. It's just always the same crap. There's no substance to their claims, and a lot of the times they just claim it. It's just buzzwords that get people furious. It's like, oh no, like nobody wants to be a racist, so you can kind of empty-headedly call somebody racist and don't have to explain. But it seems like they continue to work with him on Devil May Cry, so either they looked into it and decided it was not much of anything, or enough time has passed that they can continue to work with the guy. Because if he's a big voice on Devil May Cry, then, like, say if he's Dante, Yeah, let's look him up. Like if he's Ken in Street Fighter, then that's not as bad. Because he's Ken is just like one of like 30 other characters. He's one of the main ones, but it's not nearly as bad as recasting a main voice actor. So if he's Dante, or because Devil May Cry, there's a lot less characters and they're more central. Apparently, he's a stuntman. So he does a lot of video game. Yeah, he's Dante, and yeah, so recasting Dante, such a iconic role. Um, it didn't go over very well when they did it for Metal Gear for Snake. People, they get attached to the voices of the characters they like, and so they probably did not want to recast him for a more seminal role, unlike Ken.